guys see that Pedro Pascal SNL Mario skit?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, if it's anything to do with Pedro Pascal over the last 3 weeks, I guarantee you I have seen it. Okay.
It is like that, isn't it?
I had 2 problems with it. One, it feels like a YouTube gaming video from like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Very old school YouTube. 2, it's directed by an old school YouTuber, Mike Diva,
that's right.
which is like
No way.
Yeah, that's why
That's cool.
I saw that and was like, I have seen this video before 300 times, and the one person who has made that video 300 times directed it. So I was like, yeah, this makes sense.
SNL does not hit a lot anymore,
Yeah,
and when it does, I'm glad.
Yeah, when
it
I
does,
saw
I'm
that,
very
I was
happy.
like, they had help with that. There's no way that video was like,
Did you see that skit though, where they were having dinner at the table with Pedro Pascal? No? Okay.
Oh,
all
no,
right.
I've seen clips of it. No, genuinely, like, the only thing that has been coming across my TikTok For You page for the last week has been sexy Pedro Pascal edits. And I had a moment the other day where I was sat watching his Wired or Variety lie detector interview, and
I saw that too.
But then at the same time, Callie texted me a Pedro Pascal sexy edit. And I was like, okay, we need to stop. But
have you guys seen that lying detector thing he did?
It's so
No,
good.
I haven't seen it.
They hooked him to a lie detector and they said, hey, do you react to fan-made edits of yourself? And he was like, no. And then it like spiked. He was like, yes, I do. And he's like, do you follow any of we went through your Instagram followers and noticed that you followed one that's called like Pedro Pascal Fangirl 1. Like, do you follow them and watch their videos to make yourself feel better and validate yourself? And he's like, I absolutely do. Yes, I absolutely do. I do that.
Good on him for owning it, man.
Yeah.
That adds to his legend. I respect it.
Yeah, and
again,
he's laughing the whole time too. So he like knew the embarrassment was there.
Sure.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the #1 Pedro Pascal podcast.
Yes.
No.
That is our it's all in the cold open. That's it. That's all included.
That's it.
Come on.
If anyone wants some links to some Pedro Pascal fan edits, I got a lot. Don't worry about it. I can be your dealer.
Yeah, watch one and then the internet will feed you 1,000.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's truly the only time the algorithm has been working in my favor. Hi.
Except for because now it's all about those pumped Elon tweets. Did you guys see that?
Oh, I didn't get any.
He's changed the Twitter algorithm to pump his tweets.
He got mad that Joe Biden's tweet about the Super Bowl outperformed any of his tweets.
Oh my God. I've never heard anything more pathetic in my entire life.
Hey, if that's real, I don't see it because I'm off.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
off.
you're
That's
free.
right.
Very nice.
Jake is
Much
off.
respect.
He's off the grid. How's it
Much
feel, Jake?
respect.
I've taken up chopping wood. No crocheting. No, I'm just.
Hey, dude, I crochet.
Listen, if you're doing wood chopping, can you make one of those hot guy chops wood TikTok account things where you just like
Definitely.
shirt off and you just chop wood and look at the camera and wink? Can you do that one of those?
Like potato sack body. That's a me.
Or you could grab a small one, rip it in half like Captain
dude,
America.
Yeah,
Captain America rip.
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
When he does that, I feel it. I'm like, ooh.
This intro has gone off the rails already, but hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast. We talk about all manner of things, usually gaming adjacent, but as you can see, we go all over. I'm Lucy James, and joining me, as ever, we've got Jake Baldino.
Hello.
Shortly about to transition into wood chopping TikToker.
Yes. I'm here for it.
I'll follow.
Please,
Jirard,
start a Patreon. I'll pay.
yeah. Oh, Jirard, aka the Completionist,
Hello.
and we've got Ralph, aka Scallop.
Hello. What's happening?
Hi everyone.
Good to see you guys.
It's nice to be back on a regular
It is.
recording cadence.
It is.
Yeah,
it
we're
is.
back at it.
It's lovely.
2023.
Back
This is the
at
year.
it again at the Krispy Kreme.
How was you went to a Super Bowl party, Lucy? Did you not?
Oh, I went to Phoenix, Arizona to be Super Bowl
Whoa.
adjacent. So I did
Whoa.
actually leave before the Super Bowl started.
Did you
though.
face up?
I
Was
did
it-
phase
was it a-
up.
Face up.
What does that mean?
Hang on. Can you
Face-
explain
face
this, please?
That's what the face clan says. They get to face up and you like make your fingers.
But what's the
an
phase
F.
connection is what I'm asking.
Oh, I met a bunch of the FaZe Clan.
Did you?
And I met a bunch of NFL athletes too. And
No way.
I was telling Jake before when we were getting ready, and I was like, they're all really, really tall, and they all smell really good. And they're all so polite as well. And like, I
That's
was
nice.
just very pleasantly surprised. I had no idea what to expect. Everyone was very nice. But yeah, I was in Phoenix, Arizona for 2 or 3 days, and then I came back. And it was,
What is your review of Phoenix, Arizona?
I was allergic to it. Annoyingly, I woke up one morning and one of my eyelids was kind of swelled, not shut, but it was noticeable. And I had to kind of sit there and take some anti-allergy stuff to try and get it.
Was it the
That's a good
air
review.
or
Could have been my hotel, to be fair. It was a bit of a,
You heard it here, folks. Lucy James, allergic to Phoenix, Arizona.
There you go.
Never go
that
back.
dry desert air.
but it was fun. It was a very cool thing to, I guess, attach my name to. But obviously, I was telling people that I was doing it, and I told Kurt at work, and he just went, "You're British?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Thanks.
You're like, you're not allowed.
Yeah, why you're British? But no, that's been me. What has everyone else been up to?
Just reviewing a lot of video
Gaming.
games, man. February is like, it's out there. It's the big one. I don't think we're going to see another month this year as big as February. It's like, it was like last year where February was wild, and
Yeah.
it's just everything's dropping. So I've been chained to my couch for the last like 2 weeks, just trying to hit embargoes, get everything ready. It's all quite backloaded though. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. It's all quite backloaded. The first 2 weeks were pretty clear, except for Hogwarts, obviously. But the back end, man, is just packed. Like, just everything's dropping.
Same kind of thing though, like 1-2 punch, like big open world game, like Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
At least one of them is easy, and it makes me not want to like fucking kill myself while I'm playing it.
Which one is easy?
I mean, Hogwarts Legacy
Hogwarts
is
is easy,
definitely
right.
not as hard as
Elden Ring, of course.
It's
of
a
course.
state of mind. Look,
It's also not 110 hours long. So, yeah. But apparently it could be. I don't know. I haven't. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
replay Elden Ring. So if you need someone to take you through and help you finish it, then
You want to replay it?
yeah, dude. I've been
my God.
thinking about it a lot.
Are you going to do the Berserk build that you've been dreaming of?
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
get my
you're
Berserk
gonna do it.
tattoo. I need to book that. But the woman
That's a big mean guy with the sword, right? He like kills everybody, right?
Whoa,
Like he's got like
you
a
just-
really big sword.
Mean.
He's like
The,
really cool.
the comment section after that, man, it's a
Yeah.
light right now. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people
Well-
just going ham on their keyboard right now.
Well-
the mean guy with the sword? Is
There's
that how
so
you
much-
describe guts?
There's so much backstory, and you don't even know where he came
He
from.
seems
What
cool.
made him that way?
You know what?
He's been
Let's
through
just burn
so
it all
much.
to the ground. Just burn it all to the ground. Let's get out of the way.
That's right.
Let's do it. Well, I mean, so I really want to replay Elden Ring, and actually that brings us to our first topic, which is about remakes and remasters, because we are obviously seeing a lot of them recently. We just had Dead Space, the surprise shadow drop of Metroid, Ishin, which most of us, if not all, have been playing. We've got stuff like Mass Effect Legendary Edition wasn't that long ago. We've got, I guess, Final Fantasy VII in a way, and upcoming we've
Sorta.
got System Shock and
Yes. Resident Evil 4, did we already say that?
oh yeah, no,
RE4
the big
is
one.
around the
RE4.
corner. Yeah.
And we had Demon Souls.
Yeah.
And Bluepoint are probably working on another remaster of something or other.
Please,
We're getting
Metal
Silent
Gear.
Hill 2.
Silent Hill.
yeah,
People say Metal Gear, maybe.
Yeah,
at
they've
some
been saying that
point.
for
Like,
years.
yeah.
I'll believe it when I
Please
see
don't.
it.
It's law of attraction
Bloodborne?
though.
Bloodborne, maybe?
Play with
Bloodborne.
my heart.
Again,
Maybe?
keyboard people are alight in the comment section now that you dared mention it.
I'm just asking questions.
I was just asking
Just
the
asking
question.
questions.
That's right.
I just want a patch for the PS4 version. Make it
I
better for
know.
PS4 Pro at least.
It'll never
Something.
happen.
Give
It'll
me
never
a
happen.
crumb.
No, they will never do that. But we can dream. I mean, I guess let's start off the conversation with what to you guys. Where's the line between a remaster and a remake?
Oof.
Don't all answer at once.
Starting off with-
That's a big
starting off with a
silence.
banger.
That's a
Well,
big
I
silence.
feel like remaster is making improvements to what came before,
Mhm.
being mostly stoked about what was present, and just making quality of life changes without fundamentally changing the product. Whereas a remake at this point, as defined by Final Fantasy and Square Enix, is taking a story that everyone already knows and keeping the story, the characters, the beats, and the moments relatively the same, but then taking everything else that was there at the base, throwing it away, and bringing new foundations to rebuild it back up to hopefully tell new stories or more improved stories, some would argue, for a modern audience. Because the thing that's crazy about everyone's mad, oh, remakes, remasters, sure. But the thing is that as we, the general gaming audience, we're all in the same age range, are getting older, people who have never experienced games before, who are getting into the games industry, a lot of the Gen Zers, right, if you will, they've never heard of Metroid Prime before, and they never had a way to play it more modernly in the last 8-9 years, and now boom, here you go, it's on Switch ready to go for you. So I feel like that's kind of, I guess, what I think is the differences between the two. And the reason why we get them is because as we get older, people are experiencing games for the first time, and there's whole brand new audiences that are going to enjoy it for the first time.
Damn, that was a really good answer.
I rest my time. Thank you.
I think that big, it's a big question, because the conversation gets muddied a little bit sometimes when we see kind of just re-releases where they're not really given too much care or love. They're just kind of like farted out again on a newer platform, which is like good to have technically, yes. But for some games, it's like, that's it. And like, sometimes it's actually a little bit of a step backwards, like the GoldenEye release, where it's like technically not as good and really like is a legendary game and should have like a little bit of pomp and circumstance to it. Like there's remake, remaster, and then there's that like weird thing in the middle.
Port.
Yeah,
port
that's
it.
a word.
Port it from the ground up. Just port.
Port.
Like the Grand Theft Auto
definitive
remasters,
edition.
the definitive edition.
Yeah,
and then they delist the old ones.
We got to get rid of definitive edition as a word now, because you can't just
play it out.
We also have to get rid of Game of the Year edition when that game has not won any Games of the Year awards.
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct.
Yeah, love it.
Far Cry 6.
So where would you put under your definition drive? Where would you put Dead Space? Is that a remake or a remaster? Do you think?
Man,
because I really think that's like a good example of that line being very blurry.
It blurs it. I think for the most part, I would almost consider it. See, it changes a bunch to make it better.
Yeah.
It improves so much.
It does. But like not okay, there's big like the 0G segments, obviously.
Yeah.
And changes to alt weapon fire, changes some boss mechanics.
But the layout of the level design
story
is still the same.
Talking.
But I guess
I know, exactly. So it's like, well, what is it? And that's why I think it's important, because a lot of people are like, you can't put remasters on a Game of the Year list. And I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. But it's kind of a remake, like, it's not a remake, it's a remaster because it's mostly the same. And I'm like, well, you just don't want to put it on a Game of the Year list. But I think Dead Space should be on Game of the Year list, by the way, because it's that good,
Yeah.
So it's like, well, where do we park it? Because I do think there is something in that. I think Hollywood has a thing for like the Oscars where there's like best screenplay and then best original screenplay. Correct me if I'm wrong about this. Like they have a separate category that awards original scripts versus adapted scripts from books or whatever. And I get that. I do understand that it's important for the industry to like celebrate what's new rather than just like plumbing the depths of nostalgia or re-releases or rehashes or whatever. But yeah, Dead Space I think is a really great example of just blurring that line and being a little from column A, a little from column B. It's a remake remaster. That's not a thing.
But then are you getting down to like the engine level? So, technically Shadow of the Colossus is when it was remade, it's like made in the Blue Point engine, but they had the old code running like side by side when they were making it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
I did an episode
Tony
of
Hawk's Pro Skater
audio logs on it, and
that.
they're explaining it. But like, I mean, so Dead Space remade in Frostbite because originally it was in the Tiger Woods engine. And
of course, absolutely.
Yeah. And so like,
sure.
Does that count? Is that like that
I don't think that matters.
Like
I don't really think
Blue Point. Not Blue Point. Yeah, it is Blue Point. Remake
Demon
Demon
Souls.
Souls.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, that is a remake, but just because it looks really different and looks way better, but mechanically it's basically the same. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's obviously just a definition debate. I don't think it matters a huge amount.
I feel
but
like
I do think
it's a spectrum, right? Like there's
sure.
so many levels that you can classify as remake or remaster, and port is right in the center for those who take the easy way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are you guys?
Sorry, Raph, I cut you off.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
We've got so many of them. What are your kind of overarching feelings about the amount of remasters and remakes that we get, or ports?
I more and more see, like, at least just listening to like the people that watch our stuff, see a lot of people really kind of tired of them. And I agree to a certain extent because I'm always looking for that new sound. I need that new thing, like what are we cooking up? But I also am just like a nostalgic ass person. So I don't really care. I have preferred when it's farther, when there's a bigger gap. I feel like more and more there's like remakes or remasters where it's like, do we really need that? And that's where to me,
we haven't even mentioned Last of Us. Yeah, totally.
Oh shit.
That's that's where I get a little.
It's like the most egregious remake ever. And also they've announced, or not announced, but it's rumored that we're getting a Horizon Zero Dawn remake.
Yeah, where I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. Like I really, and I like The Last of Us. I was like, oh, they did a good job with it.
Sure.
Is it something that like I wish they dumped resources into making like some cool other thing?
Yes.
Yeah, but at least with old stuff, you are like what Jirard mentioned earlier, where it's like you're bringing stuff to a new generation to experience. So I'm always going to be pro that. There's so much more to it though, like pricing and like everything, and different communities where like some people will love the new one, but then other people are sticklers or they used to mod it and they don't like it. So it's just like a wild thing. I think for me, it's really been more of I like let it go, like where it's like the debate of, is it like a remake? Is it a remaster? Like what? I just go, whatever. I don't know. Am I going to play it? Is it cool? Like face value stuff. It's like once you kind of unshackle a little bit, it's nice.
I agree.
I think for me, the biggest issue in all of this, I will take remaster, re-releases, Game of the Year editions, and definitive editions as long as the price point makes sense. And that's the problem that I have with something like The Last of Us remake. I think it's great that they decided to go back, and that's their choice to do it. Asking $70 again to people is rough for me. That's where it's like, I understand they got to get paid. I get it. But if your core audience is the people who played the original Last of Us, I don't see them buying the game for the third time for $70. It's just, that's hard.
But it's the point that I sort of made in my review of it as well back then, which a lot of people didn't like, but I think it's true. Okay. Like when The Mummy, if The Mummy gets re-released on some fucking beautiful 4K, whatever.
About the Criterion Collection shit.
Right. Okay. Is that it?
God,
is that okay? He's got there it is, right? And it comes with a Brendan Fraser action figure. And what else we got here? Let's see. Okay.
We got the VHS.
Okay.
Jake
probably paid $200 for that VHS. How much you pay for that VHS?
I don't know.
Okay.
The toy though. So for people listening at home, I just have like Mummy toys and VHSs on my desk. The toy was a lot. The toy was.
Tell us. You can't back out now. You have to tell us.
Because we were there when he was going through the process.
That's true.
Wait, we were there where?
Like he was messaging us about this. He was like, guys, do I buy this? And we all enabled this.
I think it was like $200. It's ridiculous.
That's fine.
That's right. Yes.
Dude, I'm about to drop $500 on a Lego Rivendell set, okay? There's no judgment.
I saw that. That looks so cool.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to value of like, I would say though, like in a more strict sense, like removing merch from the conversation, like we're fine to pay for re-releases of our favorite albums and our favorite movies. We're fine to pay for the collector's editions, and they don't do a huge amount to touch up that movie. Like the Blu-ray version of Lord of the Rings versus the 4K version, it looks better. In fact, the color grading on that's actually quite different. I know the color. I agree with that. Okay, that's a bad example, but most of them, it just looks sharper. Okay, but we still pay for it, and it's very minor. Whereas The Last of Us, for example, they did a huge amount to upgrade it, and we're like, no, that's not worth $70. Now, look, personally, I don't really care that much about The Last of Us. I don't really have a horse in that race, but I do think it's interesting how we as video game consumers put a price tag on remasters compared to the price tag we put for other forms of media. And it seems as though we expect a lot more for a lot less when it comes to remasters. That's my take.
I agree with you, Ralph, but I also feel like at the same time, I don't want to get stuck on The Last of Us remaster or part 1, whatever it's called, but it feels like that to me is why there is collector's editions of products for games, right? Like if they were like, I bought the collector's editions of Dead Space remake because I love Dead Space. I love the characters. I love the games. I love that you get a helmet that's super sick. That makes sense to me. Even taking Dead Space as an example, $70 for like, let's ask ourselves, was $70 worth it for Dead Space remake?
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100% think it was. That was fantastic. Yeah. 12 hours. I mean, $70 is different to everyone though, don't forget.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
Everyone's in a different position
For
in
a
life.
single player game,
Totally. Everyone's going to have a different value. But for me personally, the way I consume games, what I value, $70, that would have been a very fair price. Obviously, I received the game for free, but if I didn't receive it free, I would have bought it no problem.
Sure.
For sure.
Everybody's
no
different. Like I even like with survival horror specifically, I always replay them twice. Like that style is so for me, it's not 12 hours. I'm like, oh, that's like 24 hours. Nice,
Sure.
dude.
It's a whole day.
Sure.
Do you think then? Oh, sorry. Go on, Jirard.
No, I was going to say, but would you guys buy The Last of Us Part 1?
No, because I don't really care about The Last of Us that much. But if I was, if they, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example of a game. Like I don't know, like God of War, if they remade it in 5 years, God of War 2018, if they remake it in for the PlayStation 6, would I buy it again for $70? Yeah, maybe I would, to be honest, if they really did a lot of work to make it look a lot better and whatever. I'd probably,
Yeah. I mean,
well, even if they
with
didn't,
Last of
even
Us,
if it was
it's
just the same, I would probably think about it. You know what
But
I
I
mean?
think-
It's like,
I think time is a factor there, right? Because if you're saying 6 years from 2018, then that's, a good 10 years. It's a different console generation. Last of Us
sure.
came out 2013, remastered 2014, and then it was part of the PlayStation
Yeah.
collection, and then it's out again. And so it's like, I just haven't had enough time separated for that. Like, when they did remasters of Mass Effect for Legendary Edition, yeah, I replayed those games a lot, and I could play them right now. They're on my Xbox thanks to EA Play and Game Pass Ultimate, right? But it was the fact that, I don't know, it felt like a fresh moment that it was me sitting down to a console for the first time to play it. And maybe it was because it has a new unified launcher or everything is in 4K. But, there was an element of sheen to it, and there had been enough time. Whereas when stuff comes out a little too quickly, like Horizon, that'll be 5 years since that game launched. That's a little too close. And maybe also it's just because Forbidden West only came out a year ago, right? And so it's maybe a little too.
Sure,
but
that's quite
then
fresh.
You have Metroid, which is like that perfect sweet spot.
Yeah.
Clearly, from what we've seen, there's a lot of work put into it, and then it's not a full price thing, and it's old.
Which
it's the perfect nailed it. Like
I was in the room surrounded by friends when we were looking at the direct, and I saw Metroid Prime appear, and I just said, please don't let it be $60. Don't let it be $60. Don't let it be $60. And they didn't say the price at all during the direct. And I was like, if I open up Best Buy right now or Amazon, is it going to be $59.99? And sure enough, it was $39.99, and it was actually cheaper, which as far as Nintendo goes, I will take that, because they notoriously don't do that. That was a easy $60 price tag slap for them, and they chose not to.
It's always funny when you read people.
Did
So
you
what's there?
see Doorgate with the doors?
I did see Doorgate.
I did see Doorgate.
So to
yes.
sum it up real quick, a developer of the original took issue with how the doors are redone in the remake for Metroid. And it just leads me to thinking, I wanted to pose a question to you guys. When are we going to get like a George Lucas type thing? Like when are they going to like remake something or remaster something and like screw it up and add a bunch of weird, dumb, bad stuff?
When are we getting the Zack
happened?
Snyder like cut shit? You know? What is the Snyder cut equivalent in a video game?
Yeah.
The original ending of God of War 3? with Jesus.
Yes,
What?
please.
This was
Yes,
a real
please.
ending?
So no, David Jaffe talked about this once. It was like the original ending, I think, for God of War 3 was basically all of the gods like from
my
other
God.
beliefs came in and Kratos beat them all, and then the very end of the game you could see like the three wise men going to
Isn't that like a South Park episode of the Super Friends or whatever? Was
Yeah,
it Super
pretty
Friends?
much.
Amazing.
So
Just picture Kratos
I would've-
instead of saying Zeus, he's saying Jesus.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it if Kratos walks up to one of the three wise men, kills him, then puts on his robes. And then like,
Oh shit!
It's like a hitman.
Damn, man. There's gonna be there's some
next God of
Christians watching this show that are not gonna be happy.
most of us grew up Catholic, so
Yeah, that's right. We're allowed to make jokes
Yeah.
about the faith. It's fine. It's all good.
anyways, remasters.
to kind of round off this discussion, then, do you think having so many remakes and remasters takes away innovation from the industry because it's a reliance on what came before?
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think there's a marketplace for everyone to do whatever they want. I don't think the resources of one franchise is going to affect the other unless the company clearly is in dire straits or is taking a pretty big gamble. Square Enix has I can't believe I'm saying this. To Square Enix's credit, they have
What?
decided to more recently port games that I never thought I would see ports of. Like the entire Mana series is like playable for the first time in years. Seiken Densetsu 3, aka Secret of Mana 2, got both a Super Nintendo remaster port and a full-on remake 18 months from each other. Like, and that did well. The Saga series, you know, Saga Frontier 1 and 2, like those coming out is amazing because those fans from the early PlayStation 1 era haven't really received the ability to play a remaster or remake or whatever it may be. So I think when you're like focusing on titles that have been kind of lost to time, that's super exciting. You know, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, the Toys for Bob stuff. Like those games are amazing because those games haven't had that respect or reverence in years. But I think, but when we're talking about like, oh, this game just came out and that game came out, let's remake this and remake that. I think that's where, again, the conversation can shift wildly.
Yeah, I think, like I said at the top, I feel like I worry about that being a thing. But like from what I've seen, as much as there's a ton of remakes, there's still plenty of games that I'm satisfied with that are new and innovative. And yeah, I've been eating good either way.
Yeah.
I wonder just how much further it's going to go into just remaking and re-releasing stuff as the gap gets bigger from like as we keep moving forward and more generations are behind us from the previous less accessible platforms. Like how much more are we going to see of that? I had read something, I'm not very like smart, but I had read something about like in times of economic uncertainty, companies will go back to their hits catalog in other mediums and really just focus on giving the people what they want.
Movies have been doing that for a hell of a long time. Just bring.
You like Spider-Man? We got the good ones.
Here's 3 of them all at once.
Yeah.
And now
they're
we're
still
doing the
hot.
same thing with the Flash. Just
Dude.
all of the characters at once.
Just let Harrison Ford retire. He doesn't need
Oh
to do
my
another Indiana
God.
Jones.
Why did he say yes to that? Why? Oh man, it was just no.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No comment.
No.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one.
oh god.
If one game could get remastered, remade, ported from your personal back catalog, what would it be?
Legacy of Kain.
Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighters. Really? Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Brave Fencer Musashi.
Yeah, that's
I
why
knew
you
it.
mentioned that in the past. It's your go-to, man.
It's
You
too
love it.
good. It's too good.
That's right.
Maybe one.
We only got 2 games in the franchise. That's it. Sorry, Lucy, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say maybe this, like, you saying it over and over again will get it. You know, this is the
I don't think
movement.
so. I don't think so. There are dozens of us. Dozens.
Somewhere there is a Sony executive watching this and they're thinking, we've heard you loud and clear, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
God of War Ragnarok remaster coming real soon. I promise. That's right. We'll deliver. Don't worry. We won't let you down.
Yo, if
So,
if they remade Red Dead Redemption in the Red Dead 2
Bro.
engine,
I thought that was the thing that apparently
was
they were working on.
rumored.
That was
It was-
rumored they were working on that, and then they canned it. I think
Because
they
of-
actually, the rumor is they canned it after the definitive edition blew up, because they're like, well, to do it properly would
You need
actually
to-
low key suck. So let's just
Yeah.
not do it. That's the rumor though, not confirmed.
be sick though. It would be sick.
It will be very good.
It would be very good.
All right, should we move on to listener questions? Of course. We have an email address that I always throw to Ralph too, because I forget what it is.
Contact at friendspersecond.com.
It's
Please
so
hit us
easy
up
to
anytime.
remember. Yeah.
That's right.
So please send us your burning questions. Jirard, do you want to read this one?
Sure. Tiny Buddy Butt asks, I am currently completing my second year of university in video game development. Lately, I've been exclusively playing older titles in order to acquire good fundamentals of video game design, and I've discovered just how creative and fun many of those older games are. I was wondering if you guys and girl would like to see some older game concepts make a comeback within today's gaming landscape. That's a great question.
I like
Who wants to
Yeah,
dive in
I
first?
thought it was a really cool question actually.
I got one.
Oh yeah,
Go for it.
Mine's brief. I like the mechanic of. We just talked about this in a Game Ranks video. I like the mechanic of essentially progression as building something, like building a city or building a town. I love games like Dark Cloud where you go into dungeons
Yeah.
and you get a bunch of shit, and then you come back from the dungeon and you slowly build out your own custom thing from your spoils on your adventures. That's
Cult of the
very
Lamb.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cult of the Lamb,
Cult of the
Dark
Lamb's a good
Cloud.
example.
Oh, what other games have done that? Seems like a thing, right?
I want more of it. I want more
Yeah.
of that, and I want more destructible red faction type shit.
Oh, totally. You should play this game, The Finals. It's coming out probably later this year. That's
Does
a
that
guess.
have destruction?
Oh, you mentioned that
Oh,
one, yeah.
dude, you should see the destruction in this game. It is crazy.
Oh, Mamma Mia. Oh my god.
It's a competitive team shooter though. It's not a single player
So
like
not for
Red
me.
Faction. But the destruction is next level. Like wait till you see it. It's
Are we talking
really wild.
Revolution?
Oh no, because Levolution is canned. Levolution
Yeah.
is like but this is literally like blow a hole in the supporting structures of this 3-story building. The building will come down with everything in it. Like it's really wild, actually.
That's what I want.
Super fun. So yeah. I actually, as I was playing through Ishin this week, I was reminded of how open world RPGs used to be designed with regards to how not handholdy they are, and how much it's important just to walk around and discover stuff. I think the benchmark, or one of the most formative experiences for that for me was Morrowind, where you had nothing guiding you but that journal, man, and that was it. And it was literally like, head north from this corner, and you're like, which way's north? I don't know. And you'd overhear stuff, and then you need to like follow that thread. In Ishin, which I just finished this week, it's full of that stuff where you're walking down the street, you overhear some chatter about some sword master who lives in some part of town, and he's the one that can teach you advanced techniques. And there's nothing in the menu that teaches you new sword techniques. You need to go and find this secret sword master in this secret dojo and then go train under him. And then he'll be like, go away now and go and bring me a better sword and I will train you more. And then you go out and you have to find the shit. It's very tactile. And I just really like open world RPG games that were very hands off and just let you figure shit out. It's probably why Outer Wilds is my favorite video game of all time, because it's just that philosophy writ large, So I really wish, that's why I think one of the reasons why Elden Ring is so good and people love it so much. Same with Breath of the Wild. I think it's just very scary for video game developers to commit to it, because I think most modern game design is about guiding the player and making sure the player feels comfortable. Whereas I think the exact opposite is like way better and way more fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, mine was actually piggybacks off yours quite nicely. Mine is restraint, because I think so often these days a lot of stuff just gets thrown at the wall, especially when you think about open world games. Like, we were talking about Forspoken a couple weeks ago, and it's just half of the stuff in that game didn't need a crafting system. It didn't need all of these things in the open world to do, because they weren't interesting. And that's what the trade-off is in a lot of cases, not obviously in everything, but I've said it before and I've said it again. It's like the Ubisoftification of open world games.
Sure. No, absolutely.
And it's
for sure.
blight open world game design. Like, it's just not interesting. I'd rather it be the Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, where I'm left to my own devices. I can look at the map if I really need to, but I'm encouraged and rewarded for exploration and seeing something or hearing about something and then going there. I don't want to open a map and just see a million different icons to do the same thing over and over again. I think there's more creativity within restraint. And that's what I kind of love about going back to games like Okami, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It is a big world, but it's so full of beautiful things to do, and it's restrained. It's a great game. Please play it. We're never going to see another one.
We're definitely not. That was that's right. And Nakamura, she did the character designs. Yeah, that's right.
It's not really a mechanic. I would love to see companies collaborate again. I think there was this, and I know it sounds stupid to say, but like I really grew up playing Marvel vs. Capcom. And while these brands normally wouldn't mash up, they started a whole genre of fighting game for almost a full decade, whether it was starting out with, Marvel superheroes turning into Marvel versus Street Fighter, and then eventually it becomes, the Versus series and we kind of see glimpses of that in the industry today, right? Like, Cadence of Hyrule, where, you had the Necrodancer developers coming together with Nintendo.
Dead Cells is getting the Castlevania stuff.
Dead Cells getting the Castlevania.
That's true.
True. I'm full on board with the idea of taking two iconic kind of brands and or game companies and pushing them together to create a new product, which lets us fight it out. I think Smash Brothers kind of took care of a lot of that necessity, but, and Tekken for a bit too, right? Like, I didn't think I put on my bingo card that Negan from The Walking Dead could fight Prince Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 in the same game.
There's multiverses.
Multiverses, yeah, but
they're like the Warner Brothers properties or whatever.
Yeah, that feels a little more
keep it within the family.
Yeah, I agree. It just feels like let's get a whole bunch of brands we own and then make them fight rather than you're right, like a collaboration across
Star Wars Darth Vader and Soul Calibur or
Yoda.
Crazy shit. Fortnite. Stuff like the fact that Kingdom Hearts happened.
Oh, the elevator meet cute. Hearts. Square and Disney.
I mean, if you were like, hey, Jirard, there is a co-op beat 'em up of Ronald McDonald and the Burger King trying to save Wendy from taking over Burgerlocalypse, like I'm down, right? That's three brands that have no business working together, who have long-term rivalries coming together for a beat 'em up. Like that sounds hype as hell.
But
make it happen, Jeff Keighley. You're all about bringing people together. Bring them together, okay?
Really,
all right.
Do you think they would have how The Rock and Vin Diesel, they have to trade off the exact same number of punches? Do you think that would be where we're at now if we brought together the Burger King and Ronald McDonald?
Yeah, it'd be like the Ronald McDonald has to be at least 15 pixels taller than the King, and the King needs to be X amount of pixels wide versus Ronald McDonald being this small.
It's funny because it's like I feel like McDonald's has more power just as a bigger company, but who's been in more games? The Burger King had a whole dynasty there for a second.
He knows what's up. He's got 3 games.
He knows the industry.
And Wendy would just fight really dirty because you've seen her smack talk on Twitter. Like she would not mess around. You know what I mean? So I would not count her out.
I feel like she'd be like the Lucha Libre wrestler out of everyone. They wouldn't expect it, but she'd do flips off of people's faces. Like she's crazy.
Did you guys ever have in the early PC days, demo discs for shitty games within your cereal, your box of cereal?
Oh yeah, Chex Quest. Let's go, Chex Quest.
Chex Quest. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Which they re-released.
Did they?
They did re-release Chex Quest.
Oh my god.
I've never even heard of this. What is Chex Quest? Oh my god.
It's basically a Doom clone, but with Chex assets. Okay. Yeah, Chex Quest HD came out in 2020.
Oh my god, I missed that completely.
Did was I drunk on YouTube, or did
I don't even think this is the same.
Pepsi Man like? Did Pepsi Man get a 4K like HD remaster, or was that a fan thing?
I remember Pepsi Man.
No joke. I'll try it. I'm gonna push for it.
You're gonna make it happen.
I'm gonna try. If you see Pepsi Man remastered,
it's you.
You know who
It's
to
me.
thank.
That's
it's
right.
me. You're welcome. You're welcome. No
Pepsi
one asked
Man
for
ran
it.
so Temple Run could run. Also.
Yeah. And every other game like that, all of them. Yeah.
We're bringing back Flappy Bird, boys.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you can play Flappy Bird in the casinos now. If you
Can you?
Oh,
Yeah,
the big
this-
ones.
Yes, Persona
the button.
5 has a
Flappy Bird
slot
minigame.
machine. Jesus Christ.
Right.
No, proper slot machine. You can get Persona 5 one now. Because
Does
nothing
it play
is
like that
sacred.
banging music?
It does.
Oh, that's
Sick.
great.
It
Yeah,
That'll
does.
get
time to-
people.
time to
That'll get
gamble.
grandma in.
Mhm. Well, thank
For
you,
sure.
Tiny Butty Bud, for your question. What an incredible username. All right, let's go through new releases. Ralph, I'm going to throw to you. What's come out? What's out?
This past 2 weeks, we have had Deliver Us Mars, which is that narrative-led sequel thriller game from the people that did Deliver Us the Moon. Hogwarts Legacy, Metroid Prime Remaster, Returnal on PC drops today. Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line drops, I think, today as well, actually.
It's
The reviews
Theater
dropped
Rhythm
for that one.
Yeah.
Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy Final Bar Line.
Is it? I thought it was Final Bar Line. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. Point is, it's coming.
Now I'm
Gerard is
checking.
literally in the
Well,
in the
who
document
knows?
right now, trying to make a correction to it.
No,
Who
you're right.
fucking knows how
You're
Square
right.
It
Enix
is.
title
It is
their
called-
games.
That's
it is
right.
called Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line.
There you go. And it has like 350 Final Fantasy songs now,
my
and they're
God.
adding DLC. Will add hundreds of more songs. I didn't even know that was that many. Yes, no, literally hundreds more. They've said.
Dudes,
So
no joke. You can go on the 3DS right now and buy Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy for the 3DS, and each song, there's 50 songs, and they're $1 a piece.
oh my
$50
god,
for 50 songs. It's
Oh my
there on
God.
your 3DS
God
waiting for you
damn you,
gamers.
Square Enix. God
What
damn
are you doing?
Wild Hearts has released into a trial this week, like a 10-hour trial.
Oh, yeah.
And it drops tomorrow in full release. I am playing / nearly done with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And Like a Dragon Ishin, which drops this weekend, which we can talk about on this podcast because this podcast will release after the review embargo goes live. So we can talk about Ishin, which is great news.
Because it's a great game.
So yes, should we talk about Hogwarts? No one on the internet has talked much about Hogwarts this past few weeks / months. So that's fun.
Can someone just do like a slow zoom in of all of us and like, hello darkness, my old friend?
Oh god, it's a lot. I have a lot of people. I actually had tried to review the game. Right, that was my intention, because I'm not a fan of J.K. Rowling at all, but still I chose to review the game because I wanted to review the video game. And a lot of people, but then Warner Brothers didn't end up sending me a code, whatever. And they told me they would. It didn't arrive. And so I kind of like blocked out that time. And then I missed my window because then I had to work on all this other stuff because I was working on or many of those games that we listed. Many people are very angry at me that I did not review Hogwarts Legacy. The genuine truth is that I tried and that February is massive, right? But Jake, you did actually review it, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Yeah, same approach as you pretty much. And just the game itself, on the game's merits, I think it's pretty good. I am also very aware that some of that is on Harry Potter nostalgia.
Sure.
Now that the dust has settled with the game and everything, for me, it's like a solid open world Harry Potter thing that you may have wanted if you were younger and you were playing the old games on PC or, PlayStation or something like that. Like Flipendo is in the game, which is pretty funny. Like they go for the
Really? Oh my
nostalgia stuff.
God.
Yeah. It's like aside from that, it's very much got a lot of the typical open world trappings that we were kind of talking about before. But I think the world they built is pretty cool. I like how it is from an art standpoint. But the biggest thing in terms of the world is Hogwarts. Not to repeat myself from my video, but like the actual structure and like walking around and adventuring within Hogwarts is just really impressive. From all the hidden little secrets to just them kind of actually hitting that vision of like what Hogwarts was. You know, if some of us read the books as kids and like imagined it like fully featured, it has all that. It's very cool. Technically, the game's still kind of busted. I had a lot of weird glitches and.
You played on which platform did you play on?
PS5.
PS5, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
and I had a lot of weird flickering and image stuff, and that's a bummer because otherwise I think visually the game looks pretty cool. Like I said, I like the environment design, stuff like that. The combat was the thing I was the most nervous about. I was like, how is this going to be good? And it's mostly pretty good. It's got some good feel to it. And it's a little unwieldy once you get a bunch of spells. You have to kind of shuffle through them by holding a trigger and then switching to different D-pad mappings.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's like it gets a little
Assassin's
caught up
Creed.
in that.
Assassin's Creed did something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, like remember holding
yeah.
Assassin's Creed, then it was like, oh, triangles your vision, square. It's like that, but then you shuffle through multiples. So that gets a little weird. It's nice when you're exploring because you have the time to stop and shuffle through your spells and be like, what have I learned as a little student boy? How can I solve this puzzle or whatever?
Sure.
But yeah, ultimately, I think it's pretty cool. Again, not to repeat what I said for my video, but like it got me more interested in Harry Potter again than the recent movies did. Like I think where those failed, I think the people that worked on this game did a good job kind of taking the Harry Potter thing and running with it.
Sure. Yeah, right. Do you think, because like I'm not a Harry Potter guy at all. Like I've read 2 of the books and watched the movies. Just I do not click with the world. Like it's fine. I'm not like, oh, I hate Harry Potter, but I just don't really feel anything for it. Do you think that kind of person would enjoy this game? Or is it just like, I don't know. Like what's your read on that?
Yeah, I think every fan definitely has their own things they need to consider with the game for sure. But the game itself, yeah, I think it's a lot of.
But I mean, sorry, for a non-fan, like for someone who's not into Harry Potter.
For a non-fan?
Yeah, would you
say, yeah, no, I think if you're a non-fan or even just kind of like your average semi-cynical gamer, you might not be as hot on it.
Right.
I think part of the magic, I think it's a pretty like well-made game. I kind of liken it to a Warner Brothers third-person game. Like it just kind of has that feel to it. But it's not as strong as say a Mordor or a Mad Max.
Right. Because you're all about Mad Max, though. You love Mad Max.
You're the number one Mad Max influencer.
Influencer, that's right.
Thank you. Yes. So yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. I've seen some people say like in our comments and stuff that like people jumped into it just because of the hype and they don't really know Harry Potter and they enjoy it. I don't know if the story is strong enough on its own merits. I think you need the context of everything to really, really appreciate everything.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Yeah, sure. Okay.
But it's the thing right now. It's like top the charts and stuff.
Oh, it's massive.
So.
Crazy levels of success, which I kind of expected in the sense that Harry Potter just has such massive brand cash. Like it is like it used to be Star Wars. Like that's what a certain generation grew up on. A certain generation grew up on Harry Potter. And there has been so many Star Wars video game experiences that have been, some of them, most of them pretty shit. Some of them great. Shout out to Shadows of the Empire.
One is good.
Shadows of the Empire. But with Harry Potter, like you've had those old PS2 games or whatever, and yeah, sure, but like it just feels like there hasn't been. But even then they feel more like, I always feel like the Lego games feel more like Lego games than they do the property they're based on. You know what I mean? Even though I enjoy them, that's how I feel. But this one, obviously, given the amount of work that went into it, how good it looked, I was not at all surprised to see it go as massive as it did. Like, for example, my brother's ex-girlfriend, who doesn't play video games at all, wanted to borrow my brother's Xbox so that she could play Harry Potter. You know what I mean?
I had a lot of normies text me.
Yeah,
exactly.
me too.
Exactly.
God bless my brother-in-law who got it. And then he texts me an hour later and goes, can I switch to first person? And I was like, oh, honey.
That's so good.
That's wholesome. He doesn't know, you know?
I love it.
Where's the first person button?
That's brilliant. Anyway. That's Hogwarts, huh?
That's Hogwarts.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
Ralph, are you gonna ever make time to go back to it, or is it missed the window?
I wouldn't ever like totally rule it out, but I'll be honest and say that there's just so many other games that I'm more interested in playing than Harry Potter because I just don't feel anything for that world. And no one has pointed to the thing that goes, oh, this is a really standout feature of this game that you should experience even if you're not a Harry Potter fan. Like the sense that I've got is that like this is a really great Harry Potter experience. It's a very competent open worldy type game, but there's nothing that you really need to experience. And my backlog, like pile of shame, is so high. This would not even feature in the top 100 of that list. You know what I mean? Not to do with any animosity towards the whatever else, but purely just because I just don't give a fuck about Harry Potter. That's the genuine truth. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna chime in. I know people at home have been like, "Why is Jirard so quiet? What's his deal?" I've told it to friends many a time, and I'll tell it to you all at home right now. I actually have a hatred for Harry Potter. And it's not that I actually hate the characters or the world. I hate school, and I don't want to be a wizard. And
Nice.
those are the two things that the franchise is about.
sure.
And I feel nothing for the wizardy world of Harry Potter. I don't feel anything. I think I liked the first 4 books as a kid, and then by the 5th book I was like, "Yo, are we still doing this? How long is school? Like I'm like 16 books. I've played the awful weird Game Boy Advance games that no one picked up. Like I did my time. I'm good. No, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to be a wizard. I'm good. Thank you very much.
I was
Very
bracing
enlightened.
myself. I thought you were going to say you hated British people or something. I was like, no, Jirard,
I love
That's
British
do it.
people. I
That's
love British
awesome.
people. I love British food. I just hate Harry Potter.
British
Even the
food.
British
food,
Hang on
they
a
have
second. Hang on a
beans?
second. British
The beans
food.
from
What
Okay,
are we
I
talking
mean,
about
no,
here when
no,
we
I
say
mean, like-
British food?
Beans on toast and Nando's.
Exactly. And one of those
Although one
is
of those is not
appropriation.
British.
That's
English
right.
and a good English breakfast is
Yes.
legendary. Okay.
Agreed.
I dream of
Fry up.
having a solid English breakfast that doesn't taste like you're just eating bags of sugar, because everything here in the States is about sugar. At least in you get a solid. I want a good. I just miss British breakfasts. They're so good.
Next time I go back, I'll get like a bunch of sausage rolls and ship them. I miss those.
what is
Bring
a
you
sausage
some-
roll exactly?
Okay,
Ooh,
so
nobody knows.
mean,
Nobody knows.
it's just like sausage meat in a pastry, and it's a roll.
You're doing a circle motion, so is it like a Cinnabon but with
No,
sausage?
I don't know why I
no.
did that, but it's really
no.
not.
It's definitely
kinda-
not.
I
But they
wish-
need to make, now that you've mentioned that, they need to make that. They
I would
need to
try.
make the Cinnabon
Yeah.
style sausage roll.
Meat roll.
Dude,
Coiled
every
meat roll.
Christmas, my
Yep.
dad makes loads of sausage rolls, so I might kind of have a word and I'll be like, okay, I need you to switch up the game. I need you to
There's
do
like,
this.
we do like, do you guys do gourmet sausage rolls? Like, because we do, sausage rolls are a thing here in Australia, and we have like a bakery, Burke Street Bakery. It's Australians will know what I'm talking about, Sydney people at least. And goddamn, man, these are some good sausage rolls. Holy shit. Like you pay like $9 or $10 for it, and it's worth
What?
every dude, it's a thing, and it's worth every dollar. Trust
I
me.
can't even
in the
eat for
UK
$9.
In the UK, we have a place called Greg's, which is the bakery on every corner, and it's like 99p. Actually, it's 120 for
Oh.
a sausage roll now because of, cost of living.
But this is a fancy ass sausage roll.
No,
like
I
we're
don't want
talking
it.
nice lamb
want
and special
grease.
spices and some people who know what they're
Lamb?
doing make it. And dude, lamb sausage roll.
Yeah.
That
I'm
is the
in.
shit
I'm
right
in.
there.
I
When
grew
you
up
guys
eating,
come to Australia,
eating lamb
man.
my whole life, so I'm in.
Yeah.
I present
Lamb
to you,
is a very cultural
stromboli.
meat, isn't it? Stromboli.
Stromboli. That's like bread and meat.
I'm hungry.
I'm
Oh,
ready,
God.
Jake.
Do you ever actually, you're a fellow Italian, do you have that, did your nonna ever give you that really hard Italian bread? The really, really hard, you're drawing a blank on this one.
What do you mean by like really hard?
Italian
I mean,
bread.
like, it's so fucking hard that if you bit into it, you'd break your tooth, right? It's like this really crisp, I forget what it's called.
Is your nonna just a bad cook, Ralph?
How dare you say that about a nonna? No, it's a thing, and it's rock hard bread that's like dried out, and then you pour like olive oil, water, and herbs on it. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, great. All right.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if you guys had that over there, and
There's a word
in
for it.
New
Why
Jersey
can't
or
I-
wherever you're from, but
Yeah, Jake, where you
He's
from?
out.
Jake?
Hey.
Where you from, Jake?
have the bread and the gabagool, right? You have them
Yeah.
together. Anyway, how do we get onto this topic?
I don't
What are we talking
remember.
about? We were talking about Hogwarts Legacy, and
We were
now we're
discussing
talking
our
about
favorite treats from the Hogwarts Express trolley train.
Anything
That's
from
right.
the trolley days. And I mean, yeah,
right.
that's the thing. Like, I read every book. I was the exact age when the movies came out. So, I was like, where's my letter to Hogwarts kind of thing? And then as soon as that last movie came out, I finished watching it and I was like,
Yeah.
And I'll never return to this world again.
Lucy saw herself and was like,
School's out.
how old am I? Oh no, I'm never going back.
I haven't watched the Fantastic Beasts movies. I hear they're terrible.
I have a way to get you back, Lucy. It's called Fantastic Beasts 3, the fucking crimes of Dumbledore or
Fumblings
whatever.
of Grindelwald or whatever. No, I just
Fumblings. It should have been called that.
Crimes of
The
Dumbledore.
fumblings of something.
and so like
The fumblings of the bag.
and that's the thing. It's just like I aged out of it, and then J.K. Rowling just
Sure. Did her thing.
steamrolled her own shit.
She did her thing.
Did her own
Sure.
thing, and
Did her
it's
thing.
just I've just had absolutely zero pull to, and it's honestly like I've had zero pull to play Hogwarts Legacy as part of my day job. I've not been required to play it because I work on different things, and then it's just yeah, sure, she doesn't work on it, but it doesn't mean that I don't see her tweets or whatever. I don't see the impact that she's having and the harm she's causing, and I just don't want to.
Sure.
It's just it impacts in a lot of ways, and so that's why I'm not playing Hogwarts Legacy, is because I just don't care. Because you know what I care about? Yeah, because like a dragon.
Based. Absolutely based.
Based take. Yeah, Ishin.
Ishin.
Ralph, I think you finished it. Jake, you and I think, are at the same place based on what we were talking about yesterday at Discord. Gerard, are you playing?
I didn't get a code.
Have you played
Buckle up.
Yakuza games? Do you like Yakuza games?
I put 275 hours of my life into Yakuza 0.
Oh my god.
I mean, that's 270
many
hours.
You were doing the completionist video,
No.
weren't you?
Was
Let
it
me be
the-
clear. It
Was
was
it the
not.
cabaret game?
It was all. It was everything. Managing your own pubs and bars and
Yeah,
whatnot.
baby.
Look, I had, there's a guy on my YouTube channel who commented he somehow figured out in the YouTube algorithm to make his comment appear as the top comment in every single one of my videos.
Smart.
So for about 18 months, this guy just wrote, I am gently asking and reminding you again to complete Yakuza 0. And it would get thousands of likes and replies. And I just said, you know what? For that guy, I'm going to do it.
Do it.
I did it. And the top comment in that video was, thank you for playing Yakuza 0. And I never got him to say play Yakuza 1 or 2. And I was like, you know what? I think I did that guy service.
Yeah.
I will play them casually, but I have not engaged with anything. I did play like a dragon for a little bit. That was phenomenal. Definitely much more my
It's a
speed
great game.
as a JRPG. But I did not get a code for Ishin, so I don't know anything about it other than there are creator cards or you could cards of celebrities.
Rahul
Like,
Kohli's in it.
is it?
Co Carnage is in it. He was my boy during my playthrough. I had him in my deck for sure. So yeah, it's weird. That system, just to explain
Omega,
it briefly.
I think is also in his deck too. Yeah, it's weird.
Holy shit.
The basically you have these summonable avatars that charge up slowly as you fight. And they are usually just footmen in an army, because you've essentially joined this military organization in the game. But they've also added random celebrities like Rahul and Co Carnage, and you see their faces. It's just them, and they are a card, and the card is like max level or whatever because it's a special thing. And then they you don't actually see them in game though. They just kind of give you a passive boost, like a stat boost or cast an ability. So it's unfortunately you don't see Co Carnage rendered in game kicking ass. That would be very sick though. But yeah, that's how that system works. So,
But that's not the game. The game is about
that's
being,
right.
being like
The
the
game is
hottest
not the-
man in the world, just kind of walking around and people come up to you.
That's
and they
right.
want you to do things and then you need to like punch men. That's how I
Slice of
describe
pizza.
every Yakuza game.
That sounds way better than going to fucking school.
Yeah.
I
There you go.
mean, so I'm like 4 or 5 hours in because I've been traveling a lot, and I never played Like a Dragon. This is a remaster port of a 2013-2014 game that's never really probably been localized outside of Japan. And
That's
so
right.
this one takes Yakuza and all of the familiar faces, so like Majima, Kiryu, but you're playing as different characters based in Edo period Japan.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
like a
actually
remix.
based on a real character in
Yes.
that period of history who was pivotal in the Meiji Restoration, which restored the emperor to the governing of Japan and marked the end of the shogunate, right? So really, really interesting stuff that I had no fucking clue about before I started playing. And I literally had no clue. And then I was like, these names, it's all getting quite historical, isn't it? I wonder if any of these people are real. Googled.
Fair enough.
And I'm like,
Quite
whoa,
hysterical.
it's based on history. Can you believe it? Right. But
I
yeah.
was really excited because this, for me, like once I got into the series with Zero, and then this one, the Japanese, it was a PS3 one, I believe, and it was called Ryuga. I don't want to.
Oh, well, I mean, Ryu.
Yeah, that
That's-
means
No, that's the
like
name of the street, but it's also that's
that's
how you
the
say
name, like
that's like a dragon in
Yeah.
Japanese.
But whatever. It was always the one where I was like, wait a minute. There's one that's like in like old Japan times, and you can have a sword and a gun. I want to
Yes.
play that one.
Yes.
And it never came around. And now it's here. And did you guys? It was a pretty slow start. They
It was
all
a
kind of
slow
start slow, but this one for me started really slow. At first, I was like, I don't know about this one. This one's not gripping me like the rest of them are. But it picked up. It picked up.
I agree. I do think it starts quite slow, but then there's a moment which I don't even know if you're up to yet, but you join the what's called Shinsengumi, which is the military organization.
Shogunate cops, kind of.
Mhm.
Essentially the shogunate cops, like the military adjuncts. And that's when it gets sick because you start to meet this like cast of captains.
Whiny
And-
bitches.
Yeah, but in a way, but also some of them are fucking badass.
Yeah.
And you don't know which ones are going to be your friends or your enemies. And it has this real sort of Kurosawa thing going on with in terms of like the strength of the personalities, but also this kind of Tarantino thing where you just know you're going to have to work your way through each of those people eventually. And that's the central conceit of the narrative, this group of captains and how it all relates to this broader historical struggle. And I've actually finished it. Put about 40 hours into it. So I finished about half of the side quest activity and the full thing. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it's funny because I've only ever finished one other RGG game, which is Lost Judgment. Okay. I did a review for that. Not a popular review because I'm pretty much the only person in the planet that did a negative review of Lost Judgment. And RGG fans really love RGG games, right? But the reality is that just didn't click with me for a lot of reasons, right?
Well, because I mean, in
and-
Lost Judgment, you're not even in the Yakuza, right? You're
you're a detective.
yeah.
And not to relitigate that review because it'll tank
it's
the like ratio of this video. But
I haven't
I did
played
not
Lost
like the
Judgment
main
either.
character. I think he's really boring and I don't like any detective gameplay. And I think the storyline of that game was really weird and it just didn't quite work for me thematically. Anyway, everyone has their own take. That's my
You
personal
can
take.
skateboard though.
You can skateboard.
You can
but
be a
it's all-
45-year-old
but you
man in
can't-
skinny jeans skateboarding.
That's exactly. Yes, exactly. So, but the point is that Ishin, though, just totally clicked with me in a way that I'd always hoped an RGG game would, because that's the only RGG game I've finished. I've dabbled in other Yakuza games. I've liked what I've played, but I've always had to move on to other things. But I've always been like, no, I'm someone that would like RGG games. What's going on? Why didn't I like Lost Judgment? And now I finished Ishin and it just absolutely worked for me. I just loved so much of it. The characters, the storyline, the drama, the combat. And they actually have a new fighting style that they've added to this one as well, if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't in the original game.
So
I
I haven't played the
think-
original
I
game, but
could-
this one they've gone back to like, so Yakuza games, obviously they had the brawler style which is, and then for Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon, it was turn-based. So it feels weird for me to go back to the brawler style because I'm so used to Like a Dragon now.
I prefer it. I prefer it. It definitely feels a little older here still.
Yes.
It feels a little stiffer compared to the later ones, like compared to like 7 or 6. The one with the baby.
Song of Life?
Like a Dragon.
Song of Life or something, yeah.
The last one with Kiryu.
Yeah, the one with the baby. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's the one that I played. I played that one like half of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little stiffer combat wise.
Yes.
But once you start really leveling up and getting things, it starts off like really simple. And that was another part that almost didn't grab me, where I'm like, this combat doesn't feel as good as the rest of them. I just want to beat up men. Once you start adding some abilities and leveling up and stuff, it's pretty damn good. And
it is.
You get excited every single time you square off against someone. Like I would like seek out drunks on the street and I'd be like, you're getting shot. Let's go. Like it's
right. Because you literally have, there's
dancer.
The wild dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a samurai sword in one hand and a gun in the other, and you just twirling around like a blender, and then you finish off your combo with like 2 gut shots and, like the heat moves where you like pin the guy to the wall with your sword and then like pump a few like, oh God, it's so satifying. I love it.
And then they get up and walk away at the end.
Yeah. They're like, oh man, you shot me like 85 times and stabbed me.
I won't do it again. Sorry.
Because Kiryu does not kill people. He's like Batman. That's the rule.
It's still what I love so much about the series is that like the main story it tells is personal, but also very, very caught up in politics. Basically, this is about class systems and different like hierarchies and all that stuff. It's very drama. I call it my Japanese soap operas. But it has all that. That's all compelling. And then you have wacky side quests that are totally weird. Like just today I was playing and I helped like this little boy that got dumped by his little girlfriend, like was moving away to a different town and he got dumped. So I like helped him. You're doing like zany stuff. You're helping old ladies. You're doing weird mini games. It walks just that perfect line between telling a real good story that like you can chew into with good characters and then like picking up a box and clocking a dude on it and like, running around and chasing chickens and just doing weird stuff. Like it is just the perfect blend of zany and serious.
Yes. I would say personally though, I was a bit bummed about how it didn't really explore a lot of the themes as well as it could have. And that made me realize like RGG games, the 2 that I played now, they're very focused on, from what I've seen, the personal stories, like individuals. And I think in this period of Japan, there is a lot going on, a lot of change. The game, it touches those themes about like class or about or about like foreign influence over Japan or whatever. But I don't really think it delves deep into them. And I would have been much more interested in them doing some of that. There are so many characters in this game. Yeah. I think it could have done with a few less characters and a few more of those characters representing ideas and themes better than they did, rather than just being another person that you have to fight at some point. Do you know what I mean?
So I haven't finished it yet, so that's good to know. But I did notice immediately stuff was brought up like the Dutch, and they called it the Black Ships when the Black Ships came. And that seems like a really cool thing, but you don't really see any of that reflected in the world or anything. Really.
Well, later on you do, because there's actually quite a few side quests that relate to foreigners arriving, and there's some foreigners who are very well intentioned, and they're like, "Hey, we love Japan. We're not here to like rape and pillage your resources. We actually really like Japan, and we want to do things together." Collaborate, whatever. And then you have a whole bunch of like Japanese people that are like, no, we can't trust foreigners, whatever. So it shows that tension. It tries to position some foreigners as being like good people. But then it also does definitely show some foreigners who are like proper assholes and arms dealers who are trying to get rich off a war or whatever, right? So that's one example of how it is exploring those themes. And I really liked when it was doing that. But that's kind of really one of the few examples, and I was definitely hoping for more than that, because it's a really fascinating era in, Japanese history. And given that there's so much story, there's so much dialogue, I think it could have dealt with those ideas and themes a little bit more than it did, rather than just a lot of personal melodrama. I was into the personal melodrama, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I just also would have liked a bit more of that other stuff. So yeah.
can't wait to
But
play
yeah,
it.
cool
That's
game
gonna be
though.
my
I love
weekend.
it.
That's gonna be my weekend.
It's you can beeline the main story in 20 hours. But then you're really going to spend more than likely at least 30 to 40 with it, you know?
I'm gonna farm. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna live that life.
Yep. There's that life, of course. Yeah, it's so funny how the circumstances that you get that farm as well. I won't spoil it for you, but it's funny. Have you got the farm yet?
No, not yet.
No, okay. It's like eyebrow raising, like, is that really how this whole thing should have gone down? Because anyway, you'll see what I mean when you do it yourself. And you're like, he probably shouldn't have taken possession of that farm under those circumstances. Again, I won't spoil it, but you'll see for yourself.
And that's out this week. Jirard, what have you been playing?
Man, it's been one of those times where I've been just kind of in my own little bubble. I haven't been playing any new stuff. I've been finally getting around to finishing up Elden Ring to get my platinum and call that game completed. I was trying to get a video out before around the 1 year anniversary, so I could do Elden Ring 1 year later. What did it still hold up a year later? The answer is yes. But just from that perspective, been speed running a lot of Shovel Knight because I'm going to try and compete at GDQ in the next year or so. So that's kind of been my personal, I'm trying to get into the, it's a very easy category to compete because there's only one world record holder and that person's a good dude. And, but I'm trying to get good at, completing Shovel Knight 100%, including all the achievements in one sitting. So that's, about an hour and a half to 2 hour adventure. So I'm going to try and basically become a speedrunner for that. But outside of that, I haven't really been playing the new stuff, mostly because I haven't really gotten codes. I was lucky that I got Dead Space Remake, but other than that, it's just kind of, quiet. I don't know. I'm boring. I'm in a different realm of like content creation than Jake and Ralph are in that
you're cooking on some weird stuff. Don't understand.
Yeah, dude, you are not talking about.
I'm excited.
You're not talking about the other thing that you're doing, which we can't talk about now.
That's
but
true.
yeah, you're not boring. It's just that you're working on a secret project.
I've been working on a real big video that'll be ready in 1 month's time, hopefully. And that's going to be very exciting. And then I'm launching a new series around April, which should be fun too. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking it easy, getting ready for Resident Evil 4 remake. That's going to be so fun. I finally got around to playing Octopath Traveler 1.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, which I loved.
What did you think? You did?
I loved it.
Really? Okay.
It scratched this. It sounds stupid. It's as if someone found like a cartridge in a desert that for a game didn't exist, and it got unearthed, and then someone was kind enough to put it on the internet. That's what it felt like to me.
It was in the desert, but it was from space. I'm lost.
No, like it's
Don't worry about
it. Someone found this cartridge in the floor, and then they were like, "Oh shit!" And they opened it up, and they're like, "Oh, this is a game that had been released," and they put it on the internet. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry. I loved it. I thought it was really great. I love the characters. The voice acting got a little tiring on me after a while. But I don't know, man. I really enjoyed it. The pixel aesthetic that they do in Octopath is like me. That's
so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. Like that's what I imagined playing Final Fantasy VI on Super Nintendo was like.
Sure.
You know how in that PS1 era, PS2 era, where you're like, oh man, it looks so cool, and then you look back and you go, oh, it didn't look cool. I just was in that zone. Octopath for me was like, remember how it looked cool? Yeah, it actually was cool. That's the vibe that I got from it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was very surprised. I'm not surprised that I would enjoy it, but I was surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did because the story and the plot just like weaves in all these characters together, and it's all about them coming together and helping each other out. And that story was just so interesting. I was just worried that all the characters, that's just too many people, right? Like sometimes like they did a pretty good job balancing who gets the focus in which chapter and how that's kind of perceived. But yeah, that's what I've been playing a little bit outside your guys' circles.
No, that's cool. I've always been interested to play Octopath, as in I've heard a lot about it. I've heard mixed things as well. Like it's obviously because it's very traditional classic JRPG that
It
a
is.
lot of people are like, I'm kind of over that now. I've been playing it for 30 years or whatever. But yeah, I know that people like purists really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Jake, what have you been playing?
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. Thank you guys for.
I've also been playing.
About that.
That's a game I forgot I also was playing. I was playing Hi-Fi Rush. I played the first few levels.
Extremely tight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
love it.
we talked about that last week, but you hadn't played it last week.
No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, right. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I love it. I think it's I always like games that have cartoon energy to them, and this has like a good cartoon anime thing that I really love. It's just impressive how it looks, how it transitions from moment to moment, how it's paced. Everything about it is impressive. Even just the confidence with which it is made, the way it presents itself, the style, like the coolness of it. It's just like this like Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim type of thing where it's just like, if this came out when I was like a teenager, this would be like my whole identity. I would be so annoying.
But it's like what's what we had with Jet Set when it came out, right? Like to this day, that's still like a formative game for us, right? I don't know if maybe just me. I'm not sure if you guys ever had that, but like but it just had so much style, so much whatever that you're like, yeah, man, this is part of me now forever. Even though it's this short little rollerblading experience, it just stays with you.
The writing was surprisingly what pulled me in. Just the joke, and I think you did it best, Jake. The confidence of of just taking a swing at like a joke and being like, is this funny?
Did you laugh out loud? I actually, it got some real laughs out of me.
Yeah. Especially that opening intro stage, it's like beating up the fridge throughout as a progressive thing, and the fridge being so supportive of you, beating the crap out of it is so, it's just so fun. I will say I am playing on the hardest setting because I'm a masochist. Of course you are. And I love rhythm games, and so I was like, I always go for the highest setting in a rhythm game just to see how I can compete.
This guy's got rhythm.
Yeah, I was a drummer for many years of my life. I used to play drums. I was in a ska band. Yeah, I was in a ska band.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we were called
shit.
We were called Skatastrophe. Yeah, you can look up our shitty LP online somewhere. I love rhythm games, and so this is exactly my style, my aesthetic. I love Jet Set Radio and all the all the stuff around it. The thing that I hate though, and it's not Hi-Fi Rush's fault. It's the combat systems of modern games. Is the minute I beat, it's so hard, guys. It's so hard being the completionist and just playing a game and not having that part of your brain on that's like your skill and talent must be applied to conquer this thing in order to progress. So when I beat my first combat thing and I saw that I got an S, a B, and a D in my rankings, I was like, oh, I'm not going to enjoy this game anymore. Like
I'm so fixated on that.
Yeah. So and then like, of course, as I'm playing, I got better and like, okay, I got triple S this time. And okay, I did this. And then, I died in the boss. That sucks. And I get my ranking and it's like, you got a B. You would have gotten an S, except you died twice and you ranked down. So sorry. And it's like,
props to the game though, because I'm terrible at it and I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I sucked pretty much right up until the end, or at least I thought I did. I was succeeding, but the rhythm, but the way it does like parrying and how parrying is like where you're like ba 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 and you have to parry pa pa parry. I love that. And then I love like the Marvel vs. Capcom like character pop-ins.
Yeah.
Where you just summon and they go, okay, and they do a thing and then they teleport away. I love it.
It's very good. No, I totally agree. I think one of the things that makes it very accessible, no matter what your skill level is you are always going to swing your weapon and hit, even if you're off the beat.
Yeah.
It's just you will do more damage if you're on the beat, and I think that's something for like BPM, which is that rhythm shooter, where if you weren't firing on the beat, then you weren't doing anything, and a lot of people just can't do it. And that's one of the interesting things you learn about when you have a comment section, right? You learn that there are certain triggers when it comes to video games that certain people can't get past. For example, timers. Some people hate anything that puts them on a timer. Like they just can't stand it, right? They're like, no, I'm out. I can't do this, right? Another one that I learned when I was talking about rhythm games is that some people just can't handle the rhythm side of it. They're like, I don't have this in my brain that lets me do this. So I can't. I'm fine in other video games, but when it comes to rhythm games, I'm out. And I think, obviously. Oh, absolutely.
Hogwarts Legacy
Totally.
has Sudoku doors.
No way.
And I see that and I go, nah, see ya. I'm like, I can't do that.
And so I think it was very smart of Hi-Fi Rush to sidestep all of that by making it so that no matter what you're doing, no matter how bad you are in inverted commas, you are still going to be able to do something. It's very clever.
And it's still satisfying. Like even
very much.
Even when you're not nailing those hits, like you're still combating. You're still devil may crying. You're doing your thing. And I love it. It like didn't outstay its welcome. It's well paced.
Yeah.
Just mwah.
Mwah.
You been playing anything else, Jake?
Nope. I mean, yes, but can't talk about it. Not yet.
Oh, okay. I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
That's our next podcast discussion. Sure.
Well, I've been playing, before I go to you, Ralph, because I know Ralph, you've been playing Wild Hearts, right?
But I want to hear what you've been playing first.
Oh, so I have been playing, I've been doing a lot of travel, and I also did my stupid little sleep study, which, did I tell you guys, it came back and they just went, oh, you're very tired.
Can I just point out that
did you just punch them after that? You should just punch them straight after that.
No,
Knock them out.
He also said, have you tried napping when you get tired? So
what is this, like a fucking
my
Spanish
my
doctor?
stupid little sleep experiment sounds like a cozy Lucy game. Like there's bear and breakfast and my stupid sleep study.
No, I have chronic fatigue, and they were like, you might have a mix of hypersomnia, and I went, well, how is that different from chronic fatigue? And they were like, just wait for your consultant to ring you. Still waiting. So I had a whole day and a night where I was away, and I took my Steam Deck and I started replaying Arkham City. That shit still slaps.
Absolutely.
But I also was playing Birth, which is a game I played at Summer Game Fest last year. It was on the Day of the Dev stand, and it is about loneliness, and basically you build a friend, and it's a bunch of kind of tactile puzzles, like you're interacting with the world. It is super macabre.
Looks creepy.
I mean, it looks kind of creepy. But basically, the developer, solo dev, Madison Carr is her name, and it's basically the whole game is born out of her feeling lonely in a big city, and it's a really cool concept. I think the puzzles are really good. I love a puzzle game, so I wanted to give that one a shout out.
Yeah, right. Man, this art style is like, it's a lot. It's very, very creepy.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing where I go to sleep at night and I would see this in my dreams, and they would not be dreams. They'd be
little salad
nightmares.
fingers mixed with a My Chemical Romance album.
That's my aesthetic.
How did you nail that so perfectly, Jake?
Yeah, like shit.
Thank you.
But no, it's really cool, and I really love the puzzles in it, and I've just been having a very nice time. It's oddly very relaxing, despite being quite depressing in nature, but I don't think that's to its detriment. But the other game I've been playing, this is a very big Lucy game. Lakeburg Legacies was in Steam's Next Fest, which was last week, and I got the demo. This one, it's weird to describe it, because if you describe it one way, it sounds like you're advocating for eugenics. Because you are basically breeding people and you're passing down traits. So like that's the kind of thing. So it's very weird to want to talk about.
Lakeburg Legacies.
Lakeburg Legacies.
Yep. Okay. Because I just looked it up there and I was like, Lake Fest? No, Lakeburg, just in case anyone was trying to Google it themselves.
Lakeburg as part of Steam Next Fest. It's a really fun game. You basically are the kind of, it's a simulation game. You are getting people, they come to your village, they have stats, like they have stuff that they're good at. You pair them up with someone, you play matchmaker, you try and get them a good match, and then you try and get the good stats to go down. And the family trees, because if they're happy, you give them the right jobs, they have to get them a house, and then they get married and they have kids. It's really cool. Like, it's a really fun, very chill game. The one thing I would say about it is I played it for like an hour and I wasn't finding the big events popping up too frequently. I feel like you can definitely just sit for 20 minutes and nothing really will happen. You're just, I'm just going to get a new villager in and I'm going to pair them up and do this thing. I was expecting a little bit more, but I think if it's just a very relaxing game you want, not very high stakes at all, It's this one. However, it does feel weird when you describe the fact that the main goal of it is to pass down strong genetics.
Breed the master race, basically.
Most problematic game we're talking about.
some good breeding. But no, it's really cute to like pair them up because you send them out on little dates and you have to remember what their likes and dislikes are. And some of them are quite zany. And you kind of are like, oh, we'll take this midnight walk, this midnight stroll. And then you have to remember that they hate midnight strolls. And so you have to pick the right thing and then get a better match. And then that means they'll be happier and the kids will be better and they'll do better at work. And you upgrade buildings. There's a lot to it. It's I've been enjoying it. So it's just the demo. Obviously, they're still working on it. I downloaded a bunch of other stuff from Steam Next Fest, but I haven't played them yet.
I'm really bummed that I had to miss Next Fest because I was just too busy with other things. Yeah. So I always try and prioritize it. Just this month, unfortunately, it was actually the same last year's February Next Fest because there's just so many massive releases, and unfortunately, kind of have to cover that because that's unfortunately the nature of this business. But yeah, man, Next Fest, whenever it rolls around and I have the time, I always prioritize it. It's such a great time. You'd find so many things. I really wish Steam would not do it in February. Please do it in January. We've had 2 Februaries in a row now that have been massive. Maybe the next one will be the same. There's been quite a few Next Fest that have been really hurt by their timing, which is a real shame. But it's inevitable. They need to give developers a lot of lead time on the timing of it because they need to submit builds, demo builds, and obviously they need to be approved to be uploaded, all sorts of shit. So I get it, but it's just a bit of a bummer when you don't get a chance to participate in it. So yeah.
But Ralph, what have you been playing?
I've been playing all the other stuff we talked about, plus Wild Hearts, which is the Monster Hunter-esque game. Has anyone else booted that up yet?
No, not yet.
I've seen a lot of people play it on Twitch,
sure.
But I haven't got a chance to play it.
It's really good, but the PC port is fucking terrible, really bad. Oh God, awful. Look, I wouldn't say it's a new phenomenon in the sense that we've had PC ports, everyone will remember Arkham Knight, for example, legendarily bad. Most ports of Japanese games are generally terrible. There's obviously exceptions, but it does feel like lately that trend is intensifying. This is definitely one of the worst that I've seen in a minute, since Callisto Protocol maybe. Just how bad it runs, even on my hardware, a RTX 4090 cannot maintain a solid 60 FPS of this game. And it doesn't even look that good either. The game looks quite last gen at this point. There are reasons for that because it's about dynamically building these wooden structures, these wooden contraptions, and you build them any way you like, and they crumple into little pieces when the monsters knock them over. There's a lot that's going on that needs to be rendered. And I get why it would be graphically demanding, which is why it doesn't look spectacular. But yeah, the whole thing just doesn't look super good. But it plays so well. As someone who loves Monster Hunter, I really went in with pretty low expectations for this one. I was expecting just there's no way it can be as good as Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Or come close to that. Yeah. It absolutely, It's there in that conversation for sure. This is not because there's another Hunter game called Dauntless, right? Which is a free to play.
I was going to say I put a lot of time into Dauntless.
Yeah, but you could see Dauntless is perfectly fine. I enjoyed it, but you can see the massive difference between Dauntless and Monster Hunter, different stratospheres, right? It's not like that with Wild Hearts. They are on a very similar level in many categories. And in fact, I would say that there are actually quite a few parts of Wild Hearts that are better than Monster Hunter, particularly the way it approaches the world and exploring the maps, because it's kind of like Death Stranding, where you can build these contraptions that create shortcuts across the landscape, permanent shortcuts. And so as you're chasing the monsters as they're fleeing, you can grab a zip line to go over a cliff, and then you can glide down on your little glider thing that you've conjured up. And, you can do this spinning jump thing as you drop off your glider and surprise attack them. It's fucking cool. You build your own camps and you build them and you design them how you like, with decorations and with stuff that goes in there. But the moment-to-moment combat and how integrated all of those wooden contraptions are into that make combat so much faster, but also more strategic. Because you need to, like, for example, if a monster is about to charge you, like a big pig monster thing, you can be like, oh fuck, he's about to charge me. Let's go. And if you build 6 wooden boxes by pressing this, like the X button a bunch of times, they'll transform into this barricade thing. It's like this wall. And so when the pig charges at you, he smashes into this wall and he kind of gets knocked down, right? There is another one where, like, if there's like a bird flying above you, you can put this firework thing out by conjuring it. It fireworks in the sky, the bird is dazzled, he drops down to the ground, right? So you are looking at this enemy and thinking not just how do I get close to them to attack or dodge their attacks, you're also thinking about, like, which contraption can I use in this moment to, like, avoid them or to stun them or whatever else. It adds an entirely new dimension to combat, and it's super good. Like, I truly love it. I really, really, really do. It reminded me a little bit of, did you guys play Monster Hunter Rise at all? Did you guys play Rise? Yeah. So Rise had this spirit bug thing, this kind of like grapple thing that you could use. And I actually didn't like the spirit bug because it felt a bit too easy. It was just like a bit of an I win button.
Sure.
That could, it would just kind of yank you out of trouble or whatever. But this, because there's so many different things you can build, there's so much functionality, it becomes very strategic. So while you do have one of these contraptions that is pretty much the same as the wire bug, you also have like 30 others that just work and are just super fun. So, unfortunately, I can't recommend this. Sorry, Jake, you guys talked a lot. You
to
asked a
clarify
question.
the whole building and that whole like engineer, almost tech side of it.
Yes.
That's a main part of the loop. That's not an optional thing. Like you're building.
Totally core. It's core to the game. Like it's
cool.
Yeah, it's baked in, and it really is as simple as you're running along. You hold down a shoulder button, press X. Immediately, there's a wooden box in front of you. You're standing there, press XXX. 3 boxes are immediately stacked, and if you push against it, you will immediately scramble up. And then if you jump off the top of it, you'll get into this massive dive position, and you'll just like strike down. So
That's
it's
impressive.
So don't imagine that you're setting it up slowly. Kind of imagine Fortnite building when you watch the pros playing Fortnite, and they're just building.
Yeah.
It's that, right? God, it's so fun. I love it. So. But the problem is the PC port is that bad that unfortunately I just can't recommend it at this point. I really can't.
That's such a shame.
It's such a shame. It's just, but it runs so terribly and it looks so bad that I'm like, don't buy this now. I'm not the only one that thinks this. By the way, a lot of people tried the trial, came to the same conclusion themselves. They're like, I had to uninstall it. Whether it's PC or console, it's not a good news story. Xbox Series S is apparently worse than any of them. It's just a very, very, very badly optimized game, which is a real bummer. Yeah. But when it gets fixed, you should totally play it. It's very good. Yeah. Very good. And the co-op, by the way, because Monster Hunter's co-op is a real pain in the ass. Like you have to go to the gathering, the hall or whatever and do all whatever. This is just like, you look at the map, there's a monster, press the Y button to like join a session. You're in, done, boom. You know, like you start a session on your own, make it public, off you go. And then at some point, someone will join you. It's seamless. It's easy. It's how it should be in Monster Hunter. It's how it is here. So they've definitely done a lot of good work to improve some very core aspects of the Monster Hunter formula. And I really am super pleasantly surprised about this in all aspects except for performance.
Damn. I mean, it wasn't really even on my radar. Now,
I mean, you're a fan of Monster Hunter though, or
I like Monster Hunter, but I'll play it, you know, for the 30 hours when it first comes out, and then I'll just like leave it.
That is, you're going to have it. You will have a great 30 hours with this for sure. No question. And I would actually say it's just as grindy as Monster Hunter, but I would say it's more accessible because its combat framework and its exploration stuff just draws you in and allows you to start playing around and having fun faster than Monster Hunter does, which can be quite punishing because of how mechanically demanding Monster Hunter can be. So, that's Wild Hearts, man. Yeah, it's
wasn't
honestly
on my radar at all. Thanks for selling me.
I hope you check it out because I think it's something quite special actually.
Damn, we've been playing a lot of games.
Yeah,
we're not even at the end of February.
I know.
More to come.
Yeah, Jake, I'm gonna throw to you. Do you want to read this other question that we got?
Sure. So our next Q&A, our listener submitted question is from John, Jon. who asks, do you read other reviews before you release your own, or do you avoid hearing others' opinions? Do you think it matters? Ralph, you want to go first?
Sure. So basically, I review on embargo most of the time when I review something, right? So by and large, there are no other reviews for me to read when I do my own reviews. I do talk to other reviewers though, just to like kind of bounce ideas, because sometimes you'll encounter something and you're like, hey man, did you also see that? Like, that's weird, right? And they're like, yeah, that's definitely busted, or, oh no, I found that thing there, or whatever. So I do chat, but broadly speaking, I don't have any, that there are no reviews to read. So that's not a thing. Any game that I review post embargo though, yeah, I read reviews for sure. I absolutely do that. And I've always found it a bit odd when people sort of say, oh, I don't read any other reviews before I do my own review of this thing. Like it's a matter of pride. I mean, I kind of get it, but I also don't, I don't know. I don't think my opinion is going to be swayed because I've read some other review. You know what I mean? I find myself more informed about what a game is and what its components are. But my own opinion of that is my own opinion. You know what I mean? And I've never read a review and thought, oh, well, now that's totally changed my opinion of this video game that I already had a certain thought about. Do you know what I mean? So no, yeah, I totally read other reviews, you know, like dead. And also like, I think it's important sometimes because Deathloop, for example, like I read quite a few reviews for Deathloop and I'm like, oh, everyone's giving it 10s, man. Like I'm going to love Deathloop. Let's go. And then that really calibrated a viewpoint for me that when I got to the game for myself, I'm like, whoa, I do not agree with any of those reviews. And I think that creates an interesting story that you can tell the audience as well as you recalibrate around where you arrive based upon your preconceptions versus your experience. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure.
I don't review stuff. So I read reviews, but I get to kind of I get to see a little behind the curtain at Gamespot when stuff comes through. But usually, you know, if I'm playing a game, I just kind of have my own opinion on it before I talk about it with you guys or on GameSpot After Dark or whatever. And like, I like reading reviews just because I love it, especially when it's like someone that I know. I'm always just like, oh, well, what is, you know, this person, what does Tam think of this game, for example? Or like even, you know, what does Ralph think or Jake think or Jirard think? Like, I just, it's kind of, you know, talking about games, but it's one-sided, I suppose.
Sure.
But I always like it when we chat about stuff like pre-release. I think it's always kind of fun to be like,
yeah.
Did you get this too? Kind of create those little water cooler moments, even though we all live so far apart.
We do. We really do.
What, Jirard, Jake?
Oh man, well, I used to not read people's reviews. I used to just kind of go, oh, I'm gonna do my own thing and like not worry about it, and just like, you know, if I want to say what I want to say, I'll say what I want to say. But then I realized like there's a lot of value in just looking at other people and after, like I'll read reviews once I've done written mine, just so I can look at someone's viewpoint and go like, okay, do I agree or disagree? Like, did I see the same thing? Like, and there's been times where I genuinely have been terrified because the internet has taught me that if I have a different viewpoint from everyone else, or the exact same, like there's no winning, I'm in trouble. So for instance, when I reviewed Yooka-Laylee, I was like one of 10 people that loved that game, despite the entire issue of like it lacking content. I played it on PC when I had ultimately 0 bugs, but a majority of the reviewers out there were like, there are bugs everywhere. How could anyone call this a game? And most of those reviews were saved for console. You know, Sonic Frontiers is another example where I loved it and most people were kind of either like, it's fine or it sucks. So I feel like for me, I try to stick to my guns and just to make sure at the very least that I'm not copying people, because not that I copy anyone, but like I'm always curious as to like, I had the same thought. Like, you know, Susie and I talked a lot about Callisto Protocol, and I had to like, I was listening to her talk about it and I was like, oh man, I have such a similar opinion, but how can I illustrate that without making it seem like I just parodied her, you know, parroted her viewpoint? So yeah, Yeah. What about you, Jake? What do you do when you're making stuff?
I'm like the opposite of Ralph, where my opinion can be swayed. I am a soft person, too open-minded or just too gullible, where I'm like, oh, maybe that game does suck. It's like my favorite game in the world. But if I hear a compelling argument, I'm like, yeah, maybe it's terrible. So I more recently, I really avoid reading anything. I do like takes. I don't mind doing a quick scroll and seeing like just some hot takes from people or just scores. But in terms of diving into words or listening, I usually dodge until I have my whole opinion straight.
Sure.
And it's hard because I am like a lot of people out there in this little world we're in, review obsessed. I love reading every freaking review for a game. I love the workman-like breakdown reviews. I like the crazy reviews that are like, this game reminds me of my father who left. I love all those different types of opinions. It's just good reading. And I love like, you know, like when like you see like, oh, the reviews are going to drop at this time.
Yeah.
Let's jump in. Like I miss doing that, but you got to do what you got to do, you know?
No.
Gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, well, speaking of reviews, we're also going to talk a little bit about PSVR 2 because the review embargo for that is up. I know, Ralph, you've been playing. Oh, there it is. Oh my God, you Phil Spencered me. It was there the whole time.
I did. It was there. That's right. Next to my Destiny Shield. I actually, you know what? I've only just booted it up super briefly because I've been working on other stuff. So I've only briefly touched it. I don't have much to say in the way of impressions or whatever, except I will say the setup process is excellent. I've done setup process on a number of different VR devices. This is the best. The room scanning thing that it automatically does is rad. I will say the controls are, I'll just get it. Hang on.
Go grab it. Go grab it.
Ooh, he's got one.
Yeah.
Wait, it automatically scans the room? That's cool.
Yeah.
It does. Hang on. Wait, I'm going to try and make sure I don't.
This is good radio.
Good radio.
Good radio.
Excellent radio.
Man in shorts rifles through his tech cabinet.
Don't make fun of my jorts, okay, please. So the controls are really nice. And
that is cool.
They're super comfortable. You would hold it like so. And I'm sorry to any of the podcast listeners, but I'm literally just showcasing the thing there. There is a button there that you squeeze. There's the top trigger, the adaptive trigger. It's super light. They're now rechargeable as well, which some people don't like, but personally I'm a fan of. Just a really great, massive upgrade. Because remember before we were using those fucking sticks with the lights on the end. Remember that? Oh my God, it was terrible. And as for the actual unit itself, yeah, like it's a VR headset. It's
How
very
heavy
comfortable.
is it?
It's very light. It's definitely much lighter than the Quest because obviously it doesn't have the processing stuff inside it, right? So, yeah, but it has these like a little headphone thing that's plugged into the bottom that actually disconnects. That's where the headphones are. And so this is how you plug them in as your listeners just to listen. It's there, the room tracking cameras. Yeah, like as I said, I played a little bit on this game called Tentacular or something, this tentacle game. I don't even know. It's like a Devolver Digital thing. It's like a funny game, but looked beautiful. The screen is so crisp, like noticeably better than the Quest 2 for sure. Definitely the clearest screen I've used in VR. And also the field of view, you do notice the wider field of view as well. It's still a little bit tunnely, like it's not like you're just looking unobstructed, but it is noticeably better. So yeah, so far from that setup process, my little initial time with it, the aesthetics and ergonomics, very impressed with it. I mean, my big question mark is like, how much stomach does Sony really have for VR? Like that's my thing. First of all, did anyone else get a unit? Has anyone else got one?
No.
Okay, right.
I can't do VR. When you said how much stomach, I was like, sick? Like, where are you going with that?
Yeah. Well, yes. My personal question is, do you guys think that Sony is actually going to do anything? Like, how do you think PSVR 1, like, what do you guys think of PSVR 1, by the way? Like, what's your takeaway on that? Because I don't think we talk about PSVR 1 very much. Do you think it was a successful product? Has it left an impact?
It was. It sold over 1 million units, right? Which is impressive for a VR headset, particularly one that, compared to other stuff on the market, wasn't necessarily top of the line, even when it came out, I would have said. I think Sony definitely going to give it a good go. I know they have slashed their sales predictions for it, given the world and the fact that it is more expensive than or on par with buying a PS5. But
Sony did push back against that rumor, though.
Oh,
they did say that they have not changed production. They didn't say about sales forecast though, so it's possible that they have cut sales forecast, but production remains unchanged.
Yeah, I mean, I really like VR. I just wish I could play it without getting sick. Like, it's a thing that, like, I can only play Beat Saber at this point.
Yeah.
And that's
not the
thing.
worst problem.
Oh no, it's great because I absolutely have legally downloaded songs where I'm playing Dracula and it's incredible.
Have you tried those VR experiences where instead of moving freely, you teleport around? Have you tried those ones? Do you still get motion sick with those?
Yeah, I get motion sick with pretty much all of it though. Like, I've played the Vive is the one that I have the least amount of issues with, but I'm not going to invest in a Vive because realistically, the games are not there for me. Like, sure, I will boot up. I'd love to finally play Half-Life Alyx, or I played some of Resident Evil 4 in VR when I was at my friend's house, and I was like, this is really cool, but I'm not going to sit and do this the whole time. Also, I don't know if you guys know this about me. I have a very small head, and all of the VR headsets I find really heavy. I have a really small head and a long neck. I'm a catch. But like, so I, physically, even just the act of wearing a VR headset for me for a while is not the best. Like a child. Sure. But I would love to play one. I will probably just go around to Timur's because he got one. But I mean, the games, I've heard good things about What the Bat from the people who made What the Golf.
Okay.
I would love to play Half-Life Alyx. I know that's not PSVR yet, unless it, magically
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be. They'd be crazy not to make it happen.
Right.
And Valve are not about that. They're not like, exclusive. They don't give a shit about that. They're like, yeah, cool. If we can sell this on another platform, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Like,
there's VR experiences that I want, but I'm not going to necessarily fork out for it until I know that I can stomach it.
Sure.
I feel like PSVR 1 was like the big opportunity. The amount of PlayStation 4s in people's homes, that was the one to really be big, and it did sell. But now with PlayStation VR 2 and just like the temperature of it, just kind of feeling, I hate to say it, like whether you like Meta or not, I think the ball really is still in their court more than any other to really keep the VR momentum going. I'm glad that Sony stuck with it for a second one. I really want to play the Horizon game.
Yeah.
That looks really dope. But I'm kind of like mid on it. Like I have one pre-ordered, but it was kind of as a backup for doing a Game Ranks video. And if we decide not to make a video, then like I don't know if I'm gonna keep my pre-order. I'm still kind of mixed because like my other devices are keeping me happy.
Jirard, are you interested?
No. To me,
it's like school.
Guys, VR is like school. I don't want to go and be a wizard at school on VR. No,
there is a Hogwarts VR mod, by the way.
I'm fine. No, thank you.
Already? Oh my God.
Already.
What I was going to say is, I think I think that Meta is kind of the one in charge right now in terms of the playing field. They've got a lot of money. They have no problem spending it. Now that, with games like Among Us VR, they're trying really hard to branch out into letting kids play in VR, which I think is not good, personally speaking. But I think I think right now the ball's in their court. They've got the best hardware, in my opinion. There's varying price ranges, so you're not just like, if you want to play without a PC, it's $300 or $400. If you want to play with a PC and you're a high end gamer with with a lot of cash and you want to have the best experience, you can buy that package. And I think most games are available on Meta and on the Quest, right? Like it's just boom, ready to go. It works. Whereas like there's not really anything in the exclusive realm outside of Alex that's like a must have, right? Like when I first played, when I found out that Beat Saber was available on everything, I'm like, well, great, I'm going to play it on PC because that makes the most sense. I'm glad it's available for people who play it on PlayStation, but like that's for the person who wants to play it on their console. I don't know. I feel like it's to me, it's got to be game driven. You got to have good exclusive games or at least something that no one else has to offer. The other side of the coin that I see to it is that if you don't have a high-end PC and you're more a console gamer, then yes, this is a great alternative for you that you can explore. Your best shot. But at the same time, how much is it?
I think it's like, I know it's about 850 Australian dollars, which I'm going to guess means it's about 600 US dollars. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like around
550
that.
with a bundle.
Yeah.
So with that said, a Meta Quest 2.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
350.
Totally. Yeah. And it's not there, which is a big deal.
Completely wireless. You don't need to be tethered to a single thing.
Or you can plug it into your PC and go hard on it. Like you
can do Alex on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can just like, it's $400 it's looking at, I think, see here. No, this is a bundle. But yeah, like it just makes sense. Like if you want to play in VR without a PC, the Meta Quest 2 is probably the better affordable option. If you have a PS5 and you want PS VR 2 games, then sure. But until there's something like, I'm not going to go out and get Horizon in VR. I could care less about that. So,
right.
I mean, if you tell me that, there's maybe a new chapter of the God of War franchise on VR and it's intuitively made by Santa Monica Studios with VR in mind, that's a whole different ballgame that I'm willing to
Kratos' axe throwing mini game.
Oh,
hell yeah,
dude. I would play that.
That would sell units, man. That would sell units.
Yeah. Or even just like Kratos' combat game where is a combat simulator. You got two hands in front of you and you're punching the crap out of goblins or whatever attacks you. That's just fun as hell.
Goblins and God of War.
Well, fine. How about this? Kratos goes to Hogwarts and he just punches kids everywhere.
That's right. That's Lost Judgment meets Kratos meets Hogwarts. Love it. I would say similar point in the sense that I think this is very interesting hardware. I'm very hopeful that it means big things for the future. But I just haven't seen Sony really commit to this on their first party software side or even in general on the software side. Like I think they've got a piece of kit that they're selling and there's a bunch of games on there that are mostly ports of older games, right? Mm-hmm. There's one first party game, which we don't really even know much about yet. Like they've done very little to show what that game actually is. And there's no promise that Sony is going to commit first party dev resources to this thing, or no promise that they are going to put money behind the third party scene to encourage that to exist or provide a lot of marketing pump for developers or whatever, right? So that's my concern with this. Like, I think it's definitely some of the best VR tech that you can get on the market today for sure. But I just don't know how all in Sony are on this. And it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 or 3 years' time, there'd be only maybe 1 or 2 games worth playing on it. Like maybe one of those games is Half-Life Alyx, which you could already get on PC. Like it would not surprise me if we reached that point because the overall VR scene, game scene has stagnated quite a bit. And unless Sony is willing to give it a big shot in terms of marketing and development dollars, I don't really see that changing just because they've released a new headset, Yeah. So
it's also alarming given like all the headlines around how much the VR division at Meta has lost.
Yes, absolutely.
Which doesn't do well to kind of sway public perception that, hey, now's the time to get into VR, right? Because it's booming. It's like, here's one of the biggest companies in the world and they can't necessarily make it work.
It's like almost like short attention span, at least just like looking at what comes through my inbox and like what I read on tech sites and stuff. It's like the interest has shifted hard to AR. It's almost like they felt like, well, that's all we can do with VR.
But then at the same time, Microsoft is basically just
Yeah, of
not
course. They
shut
shut
it
a lot of that as
completely, but HoloLens is
gone.
pretty much gone.
Sure.
Would you say HoloLens is hollow? That's terrible. Nope.
That's very bad.
Skip that
That's
one.
that's not anything. That's not
my
anything.
God. What are you working with
Alright.
there? Peanut, what do you think? Quick, take this link. I'm sorry, I had to pick her up because she was being a menace. And now she's
Vocal.
just sat
Right.
here being very polite.
Okay.
VR, a weird one remains to be seen. I'm excited to talk to you next episode, Ralph, when you've played through more of these games. I mean,
I will,
I'm
yep.
also interested in Horizon, but like,
Yeah.
just to see what it
is.
and- yeah.
Like, exactly. And that's not where we should be right now when
No.
you are being asked to spend like what, $600 on a piece of
Yeah.
kit to play it. You should know what that game is and be excited for it. Like, we knew what Half-Life Alyx was going into it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how it should be for this. And I think that's probably a little bit telling that we don't. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we're all pleasantly surprised by that. But yeah, I don't know. I get tech demo vibes from that.
Yeah, it's not being
from
marketed
that.
like a killer app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
We
Wow.
shall see.
We'll
We
see.
shall see.
All right, we're gonna end the episode as we do every fortnight. It would be easy to say every week, but every episode with this week in gaming, this week in the way back. Jirard, I'll throw it to you.
Oh man, I've been talking about it all show long. Just kind of willy-nilly. And I think I gotta talk about it. Let me just make sure that the date is correct. It is 12 years ago on February 15th. We got a Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds. I love this game. Severely disappointed with how the DLC in the game was supported with Ultimate Marvel 3. It spawned such an awesome hype fighting game community online that was like so nostalgic for me from like 2012 to basically when Infinite came out and ruined it all. I have high hopes that Capcom and Disney and Marvel will revisit for another franchise in the entry. But yeah, just the Marvel versus series is just, it's so good. And I just don't want anyone to forget about it because they're all so phenomenal. Infinite aside, they're all pretty great.
Still one of the greatest soundtracks in the history of video games.
Gonna take you for a ride.
So legendary.
It's so good.
The whole thing. You just listen to every track and you're
Yeah.
like, this is a masterpiece. This one's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
This one's a masterpiece too, you know?
It's like 2D pixel art style with like 2D backgrounds is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's like
So
clown
fun.
in the back that's just like moving around. You're
Yeah,
like, what
yeah.
is going on?
Yep.
Ralph, what's your pick?
Okay, so 4 years ago, not too long, but still 4 years ago today, Anthem released. Man,
No, that was not 4 years ago. Was
that
it?
was
It feels
4
like
years
a
ago today.
lifetime ago.
Oh.
that was 4 years, man.
Mamma mia.
That was a news cycle right there. Right, that one was a legendary tale. It's been nice
I
to
liked
see.
the alpha, man. I played that alpha, and it was like, I guess
me too.
because it was like stripped from all the story.
Correct.
It's like
exactly.
feels great, feels fun to play. Like hell yeah,
Yes.
BioWare, they're doing it. They're back, baby. And then
They were not back.
They were not
But I must say, it has been good to see BioWare kind of, it feels like they're finding their footing at this point. We don't know that, obviously, because they haven't released a truly good game since what? I don't know. That's a whole loaded
Mass
question.
Effect Legendary Edition was
But
a
like,
great
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The
remaster.
Legendary Edition, exactly. But you know, they're taking their time. They did pivot away from live service, Dragon Age. Thank God. They're working on Dragon Age now. They're taking their time with it.
And Mass
I'm
Effect
hopeful.
too, and you know,
And they're doing a Mass Effect, exactly. So I'm hopeful that BioWare regains its mojo and continues to exist and thrive. Because
Jade Empire 2.
Things that'll never happen for $600, Alex.
God, imagine. Well, my pick, Bioshock 2 on this day, not on this day, on February 9th, 13 years ago, 2010, Feb 9th.
okay,
was Bioshock
okay.
2. So taking it away from Irrational Games, because they were busy working on, did they start Infinite at that point? They would have. Yeah, Infinite was like a 5-year dev cycle, so they would have been working on Infinite. Bioshock 2 was made, different team. It was like, it ended up being like Steve Gaynor and everyone, right? or whoever
I don't know,
went on to
actually.
Fulbright.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Wow.
2K Marin.
Wow.
2K Marin. RIP was up around these parts where I am. And yeah, it was honestly, I absolutely adored Bioshock 2. I'm a big Bioshock fan in general, but I loved the kind of switch up of 2, and I genuinely think Minerva's Den is just one of the best. Like, you say good DLCs and you're like, oh yeah, Lair of the Shadow Broker, but I think honestly Minerva's Den was just fantastic. Multiplayer, not for me, but any excuse to go back to Rapture and yeah, Bioshock 2. I replayed it actually, pandemic. I was like, yeah, now's the time, baby.
Yeah, totally. You're trapped at home alone.
I'm trapped, so now I'll just pretend like I'm trapped underwater and I'm also Big Daddy. But I love it. Subject Delta.
I want to replay that. They really like took. I loved other people taking on the like Rapture thing because there was even that novelization. There was like that prequel novel of Bioshock, and it's actually pretty good.
Didn't know that, really.
Oh, I haven't read that.
Okay.
It's quite the banger coming from somebody that also read all the novelizations of the old Resident Evil games. Like, so my bar is really low, but I thought it was really cool.
Wasn't Steve Gaynor. It was Jordan Thomas. That's who I'm thinking of.
Right.
I just wanted to.
Got it.
But yeah, Bioshock 2. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I guess speaking of taking things and running with it, Platinum Games' Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is 10 years old.
That is wild.
2013 it dropped. That is a crazy game. I can't believe it was even made. I never would have imagined it. It was something I was pretty like I was a little like, what is this when they announced it? And then when I played it, I was like, I was pretty cool. It was really hard. I wasn't good at it. I struggled through it. But it was so worth it for all the crazy moments right up until the end with Armstrong. That is just like a walking meme. So faithful to Kojima in the energy, but definitely going crazier and doing its own weird thing. Raiden is cool. Raiden is really cool.
Official.
In that game. First. In 2, but yeah.
He's cool in 4 though. He's got that milk blood. Like all the other.
No spoils. Just in case. Milk blood. I need to get back to 3. I need to get back to my playthrough. But I'm intrigued.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
He's a good egg.
He can use a sword with his feet.
You can make a good living on that certain websites.
Yeah, Tonely fans.
That's right.
All right.
And on that.
All right.
What a great note to end on.
Thank you everyone for watching or listening to another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast. Ralph, where can people find you?
Right here on Shell Up, and also wait, that's it. I'm barely on Twitter these days as well, actually, just every now and then.
I'm so happy for all of you.
I'm there a lot later. I'm lurking, but I'm not posting much these days.
I'm lurking and not posting as well.
Lurking is where the pain comes from, though. You just see all the suffering of the world.
That's true.
You're not wrong.
Lurking is where the pain comes from. Jirard, where can people find you?
You can find me on youtube.com/thatonevideogamer or just search The Completionist on every platform. As of today, I just released a brand new video you can watch after listening to this on I don't do these very often, but I did a top 10 worst achievements video part 2.
I would trust you to make that video.
Yeah.
Like you'd be the dude that would know.
It's very polarizing to not complete a whole game right and just choose one achievement, but like the whole point is to like go through the ringer and really show you how bad it is. So yeah, my first video was one of my first videos to hit millions of views, which is weird for me. So I thought, you know what, let's try and go back to it and see if people have more interest on some more achievements that are just sucky to get. So yeah, that's me.
I'm Lisa James Games everywhere. I'm at Gamespot and Giant Bomb. Jake, where can people find you? And please say the words. Close us out.
I am on Instagram at Jake Baldino. I'm on Twitter still, just posting my work, just updates and stuff. Game ranks during the day, the Before You Buy videos, and the Friday show at night on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jake Baldino, my name. At the time of this, I got a Q&A video going out. I do them every month. I just answer the weird questions people ask me. And it's a good one. It's definitely a good one. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching. Tie your shoes and go to bed. I mean it this time.